The Last of Us Part 2 is definitely one of the most talked about games of 2020. Where some people are praising it for being this narrative-driven survival horror game, many people are quite disappointed with the final product. But where does my opinion fall under? Well, my name's Keenan Collison, and this is my review of The Last of Us Part 2.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
Now this video is going to be broken down into two sections. The overall review of the game, and addressing the controversy around this game. So without further ado, let's get right into the review. The game sees you controlling a cast of characters, mainly focused on Ellie, one of the two protagonists from the last game, who seeks revenge for something drastic that happened in a town. The game took roughly 25 to 30 hours to complete, and that was with taking my time and really appreciating the environment around me. And that takes us to our first category, presentation. Hands down, this is the most beautiful game I've ever seen on a PlayStation 4. And it really puts the test to a lot of games that people claim to be graphically impressive. The shadows coming from the objects and characters, the sun peering through the windows, the reflections in puddles, and the stunning mocap performances by the actors and actresses really show how much effort was put into making this game. Body damage on enemies are brutal and satisfying, and performing a stealth kill while you play as Ellie has never ever gotten old. That piercing sound of the knife going through the neck is brutally impressive, as well as their facial animations while dying. The game also introduced these massive open environments to explore, and every now and then I would just stop what I'm doing, look around and think, game took a lot of time and money to make. The game also portrays Seattle as this post-apocalyptic, greenish, lush kind of place, and it's nice. It looks very, very nice. My mom came in and asked me what movie I'm watching, so I said, there's a game. But still, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the presentation. The game itself looks very good. Visually and artistically, this game is a banger. Next up, we have the story, and this contains a light spoiler, and essentially is one of the reasons why this game is getting so much hate. So if you'd like to avoid this specific spoiler, skip to this timestamp. Are you gone? You sure? Okay. So, Joel, who is the other protagonist of the first game, gets brutally murdered with a golf club by a character named Abby. Ellie, who witnesses this, gets angry and seeks out revenge on Abby. Throughout the game, you switch between Abby and Ellie, and both their stories eventually link to one conclusion, and kinda gives reason to why Abby killed Joel. Now, do I think this is a bad thing? Not really, but you see, I kinda knew Joel was gonna die when this game came out. I thought, they're gonna pull in Avengers. See, I had a feeling it was going to happen, but I feel like people were really upset because of how soon it happened and how it happened. I mean, it wasn't even an hour in the game and Joel gets beat with a golf club in the head. Do I think that this is a good idea? To be honest, I don't really care. You see, the reason why Naughty Dog put this at the beginning of the game was to make people go, hey yo, what the f***? You just killed Joel. And they made you play as Abby to see where she was coming from and to kind of humanize her. Now, I'm not going to go into why she killed Joel because that's only revealed at like the end section of the game. But I do give props to Naughty Dog for trying something bold, although it wasn't really liked by many, and the same can be argued with Avengers Endgame. The story is brutal and often revolves around the idea and concept of revenge, but it tells a compelling revenge story and really makes you fall in love with these characters. I see, I haven't been so invested in a game story since Red Dead Redemption 2. So to have such a narrative piece of art, and I'm calling it art because this game is beautiful, is fantastic. I'm not going to sit here and praise my butt cheeks off over why this game is the best game in the world and you should go buy it immediately and give your money to any game stores and say, look here, I want The Last of Us 2, Keenan said it's a good game. No, the game has its cons. It has a few problems. It's not a perfect game by any means. But personally, I didn't find any fault in the story it tells, except for the conclusion. The conclusion is horseshit. And I'll tell you why it's horseshit, because Naughty Dog is basically milking this franchise. They are wanting more sequels and they plan to make maybe one or two more games to finally tie everything up. And I don't really like it when developers do that, because no one was really asking for a second Last of Us. No one said, look here, make The Last of Us 2, because the first story tied up pretty well. But here's more, and more, and more, and more, which isn't a good thing to do. But they will still make sales, and people will still buy this game because of the IP and because of Naughty Dog. That was my only issue with the story side of things. Next, we have the gameplay. The gameplay is f***ing great. It's got this heavy movements that add weight to the characters, and that butter smooth moment when you run past a bottle, pick it up, and throw it at someone without losing momentum. That shit's smooth. The gunplay and melee combat are brutally satisfying, and it really focuses on the impact a melee weapon has, or a bullet has, on the enemy. Every gunshot makes this really loud sound that alerts everyone in the area, so usually going in guns blazing isn't the best option when dealing with a large crowd. Enemies will cry out for help if you shoot them in the leg with a shotgun. Stealth killing an enemy shows their facial expression up close so you can see their suffering. And the stealth in general is so damn good. It really reminds me of like Metal Gear Solid 5's kind of way of approaching things with different angles, because you can do one scenario in like 8 ways. So I really appreciated them building on the gameplay of the first one. Now, one of my favorite YouTubers, known as Critical, said that there was no change between gameplay coming from the first game. Now, I'm sorry to say that ain't the case, Chief. You got it all wrong, and I'll tell you why. See, I went back and I played the first game about a month ago, and it was a bit clunky. I mean, the game came out in 2013. The aiming, the shooting, and the cover mechanics just weren't it for me, but it didn't take away the fact that The Last of Us 1 is a masterpiece of a game with a brilliant story. The only thing that really made it iffy was the gameplay from 2013, and playing it now in 2020 is obviously going to be different. Like going back and playing Uncharted 1 and then playing Uncharted 4 straight away. There is a massive difference in gameplay coming from the 2 generations of consoles. You can't tell me a PS3 game plays exactly the same as a PS4 game. That's not how life works, unless it's like a game on both consoles, but still, no. Enemy AI, the higher difficulties, was quite impressive, and I constantly found myself in hairy situations, hiding under cars or in tall grass. One area I also really liked about this game were the horror sections. Believe it or not, this game has some intense horror moments, especially the scripted sequences. But that's not a problem, because I like horror games and I like anything to do with horror. My life is quite a horror. Naughty Dog also really outdid themselves when it came to weapon upgrades, because visually, when a character puts a muzzle or scope on a gun at a workbench, that shit's impressive. You can hear every click and clack of when they do the shit. It's great, man, it's great. And the last thing to mention before we sum this review up is the damn music in this game. Holy moly. I'm going to Google this man's surname because I really don't want to butcher it. The music was composed by Gustavo Santolala. That's probably not how it's said, but still, I give you mad respect for how much effort you probably put into composing and writing all the shit for this game, because damn, the music in this game is really something that shined for me. This man gave it his all on his banjo and guitar. He's just great. There were 2 video game soundtracks I really enjoyed this year. One was Doom Eternal, and the other one is this game. And the reason being, the music adds to the world, and it really sets the scene, you know? I mean, imagine playing a game like Doom Eternal without music. A game where you run around and beat the shit out of demons with no music must be pretty damn boring, but with that high energy kind of heavy metal shit going on in the background, it really makes you want to kick some ass. Overall, I really enjoyed myself playing this game. I constantly found myself speaking to one of my friends, and she doesn't even play video games, but she was really invested in the story, and it's not hard to understand why. The characters, the moment-to-moment gameplay, everything just works. This is the first game I reviewed on this channel, and I will gladly give it a 8.5 out of 10. I know this game has its issues, and the story makes some very questionable decisions. But overall, I rate games on how I enjoyed them. And I did enjoy this game. I stopped playing Modern Warfare and everything else just to focus on this game. And I'm really glad I bought it. Will I see me buying the next one if there is a next one? Probably, but still, it was a good game. Now for the part that many people might have been waiting for, the controversy behind this game. I went onto Metacritic as soon as this game received a 10 out of 10 from IGN. That's never really a good sign, because IGN's reviews, as much as they are good, a lot of people differ from them, but that's the point of a review. I might like a game, and my minion Teddy up there might think, nah, this game's shit. But on Metacritic, the user score for The Last of Us 2 is a 4.8 at the moment. Could have changed, but as of recording, it's a 4.8. But why? From what I can understand, the game was spoiled before launch, and people saw that scene and they got upset about it. And when I mean that scene, I mean that scene in the beginning of the game. The developers also used a really interesting way of revealing this game, because many people assumed, judging by the trailers, that the protagonist would be Joel, but that wasn't the case. The trailer made it seem that Ellie's love interest, Dina, would get killed, and she would plan to get revenge on Dina's murderers with Joel. But it was really the opposite of what people thought was going to happen. Am I personally mad about this? No, not really. Not getting to play as Joel didn't break my heart. Leave me eating a tub of ice cream and listening to Celine Dion's All By Myself. Another thing made me do that. Another complaint people had was Ellie being a member of the LGBTQ+ community. However, I don't really see how this is a problem, nor do I see how it's triggering. Especially when their love and relationship in the game is pretty damn strong, and their dialogue just like feeds off each other. Like they're great. I want that. Love is love, man. Allow it. And people are just handing this game zeros on Metacritic for absolutely no reason. And their reasons don't even add up. And sure, you can hate a game. Not everyone is going to love this game. Not everyone is going to love many games. However, if you hate a game and you say something like, my 5-year-old son can write a better story than this, and I quoted that was really something I saw. Mate, your 5-year-old son probably can't even spell story, and you probably didn't finish the game. Now you see, I can understand where the hate is coming from the story aspect of things. I really do, especially the ending. It wasn't a great way to tie things up, but that doesn't mean you should give the game a 0 and be a fat troll about it. If you want to give a game 0, give some constructive criticism about why you didn't like the game. Then maybe people would actually like you. You're probably not liked by anyone. I don't like you or your son. And despite all the controversy behind this game, it still managed to sell 4 million copies in 3 days, making it the PlayStation's #1 best-selling launch title. But to sum everything up, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. No one should force an opinion down someone's throat if their opinion differs from yours, because most of the time, not everyone's gonna have the same opinion on things. And you also shouldn't get hate for disliking a game. It's really all about personal taste anyways. But give some constructive criticism on why you hate the game, instead of just hating it for the sake of jumping on the bandwagon. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a comment for anything else you want me to review. As always, click the subscribe button somewhere here and give the video a like. And share it with your granny. This has been Keenan Collison. Safe.